JC here again for retiredcheap.asia. I get a lot of mail coming in off the website www.retiredcheap.asia through the contact form there. People ask me questions. I try to respond to as many of them as possible. And some of them are really great questions. So I started thinking about it, and I thought that it would be good to answer some of these on a video because most of my videos deal with one subject or one place. So we can go over a few of these, and I think it'll be helpful for a lot of people. A lot of people here listening probably have a lot of the same questions. And I really appreciate these questions coming in, a lot of feedback. We get a lot of people subscribing to the YouTube channels and watching the videos online on the website, and I really appreciate it. So keep up the good work. Friend me, subscribe, do whatever you got to do. Link to the website. I really appreciate it because really I do this on my own time right now, and hopefully someday it will make a little bit of money so I can venture out even further and do some even better videos for y'all. So I'm going to answer some of these questions. Now remember, as I answer them, that these are my opinions. They might not be shared with the rest of the foreigners living in Southeast Asia. Some people, I question why they're even here. All they do is complain about everything. They complain about the language, they complain about the culture, the beliefs, everything. It seems like they're not happy, and I ask them, so why are you here? Oh, it's cheaper. Well, if it's just because of the expense of being here, I don't know, but get a trailer and live in Alabama, you know, because it'd probably be cheap there, and you could probably get by. But over here, I think you get a better quality of life, a better lifestyle for the same amount of money. But a lot comes with that, and we're going to talk about that in some of these questions. So I realize that a lot of this are generalizations, so a lot of the answers are generalizations. Just like anywhere else, it doesn't apply 100% to everybody. Okay? So, oh, one other thing. You know, the name of the website is retiredcheap.asia, but this isn't just for old people. I just named it that because, you know, the baby boomers started retiring the beginning of 2011. And at its peak, 10,000 a day are going to be falling into the retirement age. That's a huge amount of people. And that's why the Social Security system is being taxed, because of those numbers. And so what I want to do is offer them an alternative. But having said that, I get a lot of mail from people that are out of work, that are suffering, that have lost the income, investments have depreciated. And I come from the Gulf Coast of the United States. So it's like the storm capital of the world. And we always knew that when there was a storm coming, the thing to do was to find a place of shelter, a safe place, and wait out the storm. So for all you that watch these videos that might not have work right now, or think that they could do something online, and we'll talk about that as well, this would be a great place to wait out the storm. So it's something to think about. If you have any assets, cash them in and hang out over here until the storm passes, so to speak. So anyway, to the questions. The first one was about running a business in Thailand. My suggestion, I've had businesses, I've had a corporation, and I suggest if you can make money abroad, live here, and use the money here, it's a better situation. If you get involved in the system here, running a business, you got to have a Thai company. It's got to be 51% owned by Thai people. And you're going to have to get a work permit to work, which means you have to pay yourself the minimum of 50,000 baht a month to run your own business. And we'll talk, I'm going to create a membership site where we can talk about some of the nuances of some of these regulations and things, but some of the things I want to say probably aren't for the general public. It's going to be maybe controversial, so I won't go into details. But you can open a company, you can run your company. Like I said, it's got to be 51% owned by Thais, and you got to pay yourself. And if you ever want to close that company, say you never use it, and you want to close it, it costs about $1,000, I think, to close it, and it doesn't just go away. that's running a business. If you can, like I say, if you can do online work, and I'm going to address that. There's a lot of ways now to make money online where you can actually receive money through an ATM and live that way. So you also need to pay yearly tax returns if you have your own company. Let's see here. Oh, finding Thai prices. People say, well, these prices that you talk about are unrealistic, and that's not true. They're very realistic. But for foreigners, and I always say this in my videos, we're perceived as having more money than the average Thai person. In fact, they want you to have the equivalent of $2,000 some odd dollars a month to live here on a retirement visa. And so the top maybe 3% of the country, I think, earn that much money in Thailand. So even from the top down, they think that we have a lot more money than the average Thai people. And so that's why I always mention in the videos that things are disproportionately priced for foreigners. There's a two-tier pricing system in a lot of areas. And so to find these Thai prices, guess who has to go look? You got it, Thai people. And you can either get students from the university, they speak pretty good English, and have them go to find an apartment for you. And what I always did was I would go with the Thai person, I'd tell them exactly what I wanted, and I would just stay in the car or out of sight and have them go ask the price for a motorcycle or an apartment or a house or whatever it was, and let them get the price first, and then I would walk up because the price had already been settled on. So that was my strategy for doing that. Also, the Thais know where these inexpensive places are, or just look where a lot of Thais eat, because it'll be inexpensive and really good if there's a lot of people there. It'll be a great value. So that's for finding Thai prices. That was my strategy for doing that. So you can find all these prices. They are available. It's just you got to be. And I also did a video about finding bulletin boards. There's bulletin boards that have some of this this information on it. You know, where you can buy motorbikes from another foreigner, or rent an apartment, or buy a condo, or something like that. This is a good one about couples moving to Thailand. Again, membership section, because. The challenge, if you come over with a wife or a significant other, if it's a female you're coming with, the challenge for me talking to other foreign women is that they have problems finding friends here. And the reason is because there aren't a lot of women coming over here to live, and the ones that are over here, sometimes there's not a lot in common. And for a foreign woman to have a relationship with a Thai woman, there is not a lot in common because the value differences, the belief differences. But there's a lot of things and organizations that a lady could get involved with over here. A lot of great causes to be involved in. And hey, it's more time to be creative. I think it's a great place to come over and do writing or painting or something very creative. And now with the online social network, it's, you know, you feel like I talk to my parents now more than I did when I lived back home. So, and the guys, you'd have to resist the temptation of the Thai ladies. So, again, membership section. Anyway, let's see. But yeah, if you want your wife to come over or something, and she's not quite agreeable, then mention all the great things. Find out what's of value to her, what's important to her, and tie those important values to living over here. Whether it's free time, freedom, adventure, whatever it is, tie it to being over here. My suggestion. Anyway, banking. I did a video about banking. Somebody talked about bringing money over here. Interest is real low in the banking system here. A challenge is if you bring money over here, then it's hard to get it back home if you want to. The Thai baht is very strong, so there were a lot of currency speculators. And so people were bringing money over here, and the price of the baht would go up, and the price of the denomination of the currency that you brought it in went down, and people would remove the money and make a profit. And so Thailand didn't want that to happen, so they made it real restrictive to get the money back out. So I don't suggest bringing over any money that you don't really want to use, and keep it back home, bring it out on an ATM. I think it's $5 fee to take it out, and you can take, I think, 20,000 baht at a time, which is less than $1,000, but it's a significant amount of money, and you can do that daily. So let's see what else we got here. Oh, somebody said, you know, they have $10,000 and they don't retire for a number of years, and could they live over here and on that amount of money? And so it depends on the lifestyle that you want to live. If you want to live like a foreigner and eat foreign food every day and run a whole house with the air conditioning running in every room, we have compartmentalized air conditioning, so you can run it in one room. But if you ran the whole house being cool, eating foreign food every day, driving around in a gas-guzzling vehicle and stuff like that, well, you're going to use a lot of money every month. But what I suggested in this email, when I emailed back, was to take the amount of money you have, how many years you want to live, divide it by the number of years, divide that again by the number of months. Take that monthly income, go to retirecheap.asia, and we have a budget calculator. Plug that income in for a monthly budget, and it'll spit out the amount you can spend every month on everything from entertainment to rent to food to everything like that. And these are averages these are social averages, what most people spend, the percentage on rent that they spend out of their income, percentage on food, entertainment, things like that. And divide it up, and then look at the amount you can spend every month. And see if that, and then watch the videos. And see what I'm showing you can get for that much money, and say, can I do this or can't I? And so that's how I suggest you finding out whether or not it'll work for you. Oh, somebody asked me about the Philippines compared to Thailand. I've spent a lot of time in the Philippines. The advantages and disadvantages. The advantages of the Philippines is that they speak English. It's a little bit quirky English. I say they sound like a duck, you know, when they speak, but it's they do speak English, so that's an advantage. Communication is a little easier. The culture isn't Buddhist, and so that's a little different too. I prefer the Buddhist culture. I think people are generally friendlier. The food, I prefer Thai food. Again, these are all my opinions. I prefer Thai food. And right now there was just a study that came out that said Bangkok is expensive for the ASEAN countries over here, which doesn't include Tokyo or Hong Kong, but Southeast Asian countries basically. And Bangkok rates right up there in the top, and Philippines, Manila, is actually one of the lowest. So it's a little bit cheaper if you want to live in Manila, in a big city. What else? Thai food, people. I think that just about covers it. So I prefer Thailand, but Philippines is a great place to go visit. I just prefer not to live there. So let's see. The beaches. Living in the furthest, my opinion is the further south you go, the hotter it gets. And I mentioned that I come from a hot climate, tropical climate, and so even where I lived, it was hot. And when you're hot, you don't really feel that comfortable. And people seem to get irritated in the heat, and they get more lazy because you can't exert a lot of energy. It's too hot. And so it seemed to me that the further north I got in Thailand, the friendlier people got. Plus there's what's called the Lana culture, which was, well, we won't go into, you look up L-A-N-N-A, culture in Thailand. And the people in the north were part of this Lana culture. And they seem to be a lot more friendly to me than most people. They hold on to some of the more traditional values. And one of that is being more social or more friendly. That's, again, my opinion. Also, it becomes more expensive. The further you get closer to the beaches, the more money it costs. You compare Chiang Mai to, say, Bangkok or Phuket, and it's probably 30% of the cost. I guess that's about it. I'm going to run out of time here, so I want to... So, that's about it. Okay, so if you have any other questions, feel free to ask them, and I'll either try and answer them directly, or I'll keep doing these kinds of videos to answer these questions. It's still a great place to live over here. Things are not going to get better back in America, or around the world, for that matter, for a long time. What we grew up knowing is history, and if you're thinking it's going to come back, I'm good friends with somebody. I actually helped them out doing seminars, and they actually worked on Wall Street. Their job was to disseminate information and how it related to stock markets and things like this. And they worked for one of the top Wall Street firms. And so I have the opportunity to hang out with them, and they created the whole financial program for Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins financial seminars. And so the thing about when I talk to him, he's looking at all this information about the euro failing and what's happening in the wars and everything. And what's happening is we're running out of resources in the world. And the reason, because of natural disasters and increase in populated areas like China. And so we're competing for resources now. If you remember back in the colonial days, countries used to go out and colonize. And one of the reasons were to gather resources. They needed more resources that they didn't have indigenous to their own country. And so we're back in that situation. And as you know, back home, a lot of the governments, state agencies and stuff, don't have funds anymore. So some of the infrastructure is starting to fail. And there's not money. I used to go back and be a subcontractor for FEMA during natural disasters. Well, as you know, there were a lot of tornadoes and everything that just happened back in the States. And that free money isn't being given out anymore as part of the housing inspection program, where we'd give money to people to help fix up their houses after a disaster. Well, that money's not there anymore. It's dried up. So knowing all this, you're going to have a fixed monthly income. You got to go someplace where you're going to be able to get your needs met, and I'm talking about all your needs. I think there's 6 human needs, and we'll talk about those one day. But I think your needs will be met better over here on a smaller amount of money. If you have a lot of money and budget's not an issue, stay home. But anyway, I appreciate all the input, and I appreciate all the support. And so if you go to www.retirecheap.asia, you can either sign up for a phone consultation. Like I said, we'll have a membership area where we'll be able to put some more sensitive style videos on there, more detailed information that might not be for the general public. And that's about it. So I guess I hope I've answered your questions. And remember, no matter how bad things get, there's always an option.